Hi guys, we're going to start our Chapter 8 unit today talking about probability. And probability is all about the study of chance. So what are the chances of something happening? We're going to talk about the probability of simple events today, and then we're going to start to get more complex as we are talking in class. So get down these notes and answer the questions as you go along. Probability is the study of chance. That's why, when people say, what are the chances of something happening, you're actually asking, what is the probability of something happening? There's a formula to calculate the chances of something happening, and this is your formula. It's going to be written as a fraction first, and all of your answers are actually going to be finalized as a percent. So you're going to need your calculator. If you don't have your calculator out, you need to get that out, okay? All right, so on the top of your ratio, you're going to have the number of times something can happen, okay? And then on the bottom, you're going to write your total possibilities of something happening. And with that, when you write it as a fraction, you can divide it in your calculator to get that percent. That's why we did that so much in our last unit, figuring out percentages, because we're going to be dealing with that again when we're talking about probability. So the number of times something can happen divided by the total possibilities, and that will give you your percentage. Right? So some key words when you're dealing with probability, whenever you see the word and, I want this to happen and I want this to happen, you're going to multiply those probabilities together. Okay, so that's just a key word to look for. When you want this or this to happen, you're going to add. Okay, so those are just things to keep in mind. Let's do some examples. And a lot of times when we deal with chance, you're going to see flipping a coin, picking a card out of a deck of cards, or rolling a die. Those are just like the basics when you're dealing with probability. So I want you to visualize these things happening as we're talking about them. So if you flip a coin, whenever you see the P here, it means what's the probability of flipping a heads. So if you flip a coin, think about your number of possibilities on that coin. You only have two options. You can either flip a heads or you can flip tails. That's it. There's no other options. So when we write the probability, we're going to write the total possibilities on the bottom. There's only two possibilities. And then we have to think about how many times could I flip heads? When I flip that coin, how many heads could I get? There's only one head on a coin. So your chances are 1 out of 2. When you divide that in your calculator, you should get 0.5. And we know from our last chapter that that's going to equal 50%. Okay, so all of your probabilities should be written as a percent. All right? All right, so that's flipping a coin. Let's talk about picking a card out of a deck of cards. Now, I know some of you might not be familiar with a deck of cards. I'm very familiar with it because my brother, my younger brother, used to love to play 52 card pickup with me. I don't know if you've heard that before. But there are 52 cards in a deck, and my brother would just fling them across the room and tell me, oh, 52 card pickup, got to pick them all up. So that's how I remember it. I have a little cheat sheet for you in your Quest packet. If you're not sure about what's in a deck of cards, so you can reference that as we go along. So we want to figure out what is the probability of getting a king in a deck of cards if you pick one card out. So that's why it's important to know there are 52 cards in a deck of cards. So that's my total. And then the number of kings in a deck of cards, there's one of each suit. So there's actually 4 kings in a deck of cards. So you have a 4 out of 52 chance to get a king. So not really great chances there. So when you divide 4 divided by 52, you're going to get 0.07. Okay, not very good chances. And then remember, you have to change it to a percent. So as we know from last chapter, it's going to be 7%. Not very good chances. Okay? So let's talk about deck of cards again. So we want the probability of picking out a heart. So again, we have 52 cards total. That's going to go on the bottom. And then there are actually 13 hearts in a deck of cards because there's 4 suits. That's one of the suits. So 13 over 52. So when you divide 13 divided by 52, you get 0.25, and we got to change that to a percent, and that's going to give you 25%. All right. I'd like you to try this last one on your own. Let's see if you can figure out what's the probability of getting a 9 out of a deck of cards. Okay. All right, and then I want to talk about excuse me, rolling a die. So when you have a die, you have 6 different sides on that die. So that's going to be my total possibilities when I roll. And then how many 2s are on a die? There's only 1. Okay, so my chances of rolling a 2 are 1 out of 6 chance. And when we divide that, we're going to get 0.16. So we want to convert that to a percent, so it would be 16%. All right. Last one, still rolling a die. We want to know the probability of not rolling a 6. There's still 6 total possibilities, but there are 5 numbers on a die that are not a 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are all not 6. So when we divide 5 divided by 6, we're going to get 0.83. And as a percent, it's going to be 83%. Remember, you're just moving that decimal point 2 spots. All right? So, percent. So I want you to take a look at all of these probabilities that we looked at. Look at the percentages, and I want you to answer the question, what do you have the greatest chances of doing out of all of these events? Okay, answer that question. So hopefully you said this, example number 6, not rolling a 6 on a die would give you the greatest chances. Okay? All right, so then we move on to a different kind of situation, still trying to find the probability, but this time we have a bag full of gumballs. So you have 4 grape, 2 cherry, 3 lemon, and 7 raspberry. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find the total number of gumballs you have, because that's what we need at the bottom of our fraction. So if you add those all up, you should see that you have 16 total gumballs in that bag. So when we go to figure out how many cherry gumballs there are, the probability, we have 16 total chances of those balls. But how many gumballs do we have? If we look, oops, sorry, not gumballs, cherry gumballs. We have 2 cherry gumballs, so that's going to go on top. And then we're going to write that as a decimal and then a fraction. Oops, got to do that in my calculator here. So 2 divided by 16 gives you 0.125, and then as a percent, it would be 12.5%. Okay. I would like you to try this one, okay, on your own. All right. Then we're going to move up here. So now we see this key word I was talking to you about at the beginning of your notes. Remember, whenever you see the word or, you're going to add. So we have what are the probability of getting a lemon or a grape? So we're going to start by writing the probability of just the lemon. So there are 16 total. How many lemons? There's 3 lemons. Okay. Or means to add. And then we're going to figure out the probability of a grape. So there are 4 grape out of still a total of 16. All right. We're going to add those up. 3 plus 4 is 7. And hopefully you remember the rule for fractions. Whenever you have the denominator, you're not going to add those denominators together. You're just going to keep that denominator the same. So we have 7 out of 16 chance. We're going to divide those in our calculator, and you get 0.43. And you're going to write that as a percentage, and you're going to get 43%. All right? I'd like you to try this one on your own too, and then you're all set for probability.